Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HMP. I hope you've got your holy water ready, as this episode we will be reviewing Demonic Toys. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he can walk, he can talk, and he can even pants. Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
All of these things are true, especially the third thing.
Oh, man. Today we are talking about Demonic Toys from 1992. You know what happened right after this? Jurassic Park came out. Coincidence?
Oh, right. Wow.
Coincidence? I don't know. Who's to say? We'll figure it all out. But this is hilarious because Bruce is not with us today. He is but a bird within the clouds, flying home from the great West Coast back to the old fancy East Coast here.
Well, my friend Adam Portress is spitting poetry today.
And unfortunately, he can't be here with us. But and at the same time, too, like, it kind of bothers me because this was his choice.
That is bothersome. This is also the second time this has happened with Mr. Leslie.
He's kind of been like, hi, I'd like to deliver a turd at your doorstep. I'd like to light it on fire and then run away. Hope you don't mind. What do you say? You're angry? Why? Is it because you opened your doors, found a flaming bag of poo, and had to stomp it out?
I don't think that of this movie. I do not hate this movie by any means.
It's not a flaming bag of poop, but you know, it's not flaming.
We have watched so many worse movies than this.
But we'll definitely we'll get into all those big things. Before we do, though, we do want to say thank you to everyone who supports the show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. In the Dinger Zone this week, you get to hear all about our fantastical adventure that I had. Sean and I met up in the real life, and we decided let's keep it podcast mutual from now on. It's no good. But no, we had a really good time. It was nice seeing you again.
That's a lie.
We had
two real life pals just palling about.
I will say this, though. I am sure between the two mustaches for us, I'm sure everybody was like, look at those two.
Oh, sure.
That's
all right.
Because we were a couple of mustachioed men about the town and
let's give them something to talk about, Portrait.
Having a good old fashioned time. We were.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided at some point we got to get a little Bruce Leslie action in on this as well. We have ourselves a little
we do have to
at
make
some
this.
point.
We really should make this like a priority where once a year the three of us are together. You had a really great idea. I think you're right.
Yeah. And so if you'd like to get in on that little action, so you hear a little bit more about that and, of course, some other fun things, check us out over at patreon.com/HMP. Doesn't matter what level you join up at, you get access to all that good stuff. It's just whatever you think this show is worth, put that into a dollar form, send it our way. We really appreciate all of you guys and all of the things that you do for us. And get your name in the executive producer credit. Put that on your IMDb profile or something like that. So.
You totally could also. People have a lot dumber credits than that on their IMDb.
You got that right. I want to see somebody in here with like a really good, like a good picture on their IMDb profile, like maybe with the wink and the gun or something like that. Something real classy.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Put their name on it. HMP executive producer. Listen, we will vouch for you. You know, somebody calls up and just be like, I don't believe this person worked on this program. We will tell them that you did. You are an executive producer of the program. Patreon.com/HMP. Boom. Speaking of IMDb, here's the IMDb plotline for Demonic Toys. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A pregnant policewoman, her query, and that's a great way to put it, and an innocent delivery boy become trapped in a haunted toy warehouse. This is written by Charles Band. He came up with the idea, but no, the actual screenplay, that's given to one David S. Goyer. Yes, that David S. Goyer. He wrote the screenplay. This was directed by Peter Menagoin. Sure, why not? He's been one of those longtime Full Moon guys here and everything. Demonic Toys. You ever seen this one before?
I've never seen any Demonic Toys movie. I saw Puppet Master when I was in college, which means I was very, very high when I saw it. So I can't remember much about it. But I can remember mistaking the two things for each other constantly. You know, not that I think about Charles Band movies a ton, but when they come up,
when awake at night and I can't sleep, I go, I wonder what Charlie Band's doing right now.
I got into a car wreck immediately. My first question to the officer was, "How is Charles Band?" But whenever it comes to those characters, I constantly mix up one for the other. Like, is a not are is the little Nazi a demonic toy, or is it a puppet? Like it goes back and forth like that.
Yeah, you just got
And
a warehouse full of crap in there. It's all going to eventually start kind of bleeding together.
which makes me ask the question: are they using their real warehouse? And I think they might be. Are they using their real warehouse to shoot most of this movie?
I feel like it's got to be, or at least, one that they have access to.
I really think it's their own.
I mean, where else could it be? Who's going to allow them this much space, I wonder?
It's true, because they are all over that dang warehouse, man.
There's a lot of things going on here, but let me sell everybody on this 1992 Full Moon feature, because this sucker's got everything. We got creepy doll music. Well, actually, it's just Richard Band music in general, I think, if we're quite honest with ourselves. We also
slow down the Calliope music. There's your music.
We got creepy dolls, mixed aesthetic couples, what I like to call them. Arms dealing, irresponsible parenting, kicking your buddy down the stairs, smoking on the job, the chicken mobile, face-eating Jack in the Box, fingers biting teddy bear, a Puppet Master cameo. Wonder how they got that one on.
Mm-hmm.
We got Die Hard ripoff, zero trigger discipline, angry sock puppets, a baby doll who talks, and poops its pants and can drag a 350-pound man, apparently.
Oh, man, that made me so bad.
We got Ouija blocks, tricycle gas mask death ride, a 12-pound demon baby born in 1925, trick-or-treating, flame-throwing, what is that word supposed to be? Something stabbing, shotgun blasting, chowder buckets, the decapitation of the greatest of ease, exploding dolls, cheaply made doors, an eye examination, demon man exposition machine, a Molotov clucktail. Yeah, you see what I did there? Yeah, this movie's got everything.
There is one person in this movie who is really acting up a storm. And it's the guy who plays the main criminal, the one who stays alive. The one that the
bad guy who looks like, who I thought he was at first, because it's also quite the same year. No, I thought he was the guy that played Officer Nash in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh my Lord.
He looks he's a dead ringer for that guy.
You're
and that
not kidding.
Came out in 1993, 1992. So I'm sitting there going,
He is the only one in this entire movie who is doing the correct amount of acting.
Yeah, just enough.
He is running circles around every single other person in this movie. And it's it's easy to hate him because of the things that he's saying and his actions and the things that he's doing. But he is doing a phenomenal job in this movie. So much so that I was like, I'm surprised that I haven't seen that guy anywhere else, because I did a search on IMDb for him to see where he is now. And the guy hasn't acted in movies in 20 years, which is a shame, because I thought he was the best part of this movie. Like, it was surprising how good he is. And there's also famous people in this movie, which, like, how is that possible? But it's true.
Yeah, it's just like the Pat Crawford Brown cameo is probably one of the highlights for me, just because.
You're jumping ahead, sir. That's at the end of the show.
Oh, for sure. But she was one of my favorites growing up. She was one of those character actors that was like on everything. Only recently just kind of passed. But all of these people are great. Who am I I tried to put it together of who the lead kind of looks like. He looks like just a bunch of like kind of B-list actors just smashed into one dude.
To me, he looks like all of those guys that they were trying to make really famous in the early 2000s. You would see them in like 3 different movies, and Hollywood's just trying to make this guy a thing, and he never became a thing. Like half of the American Pie cast.
Yeah,
it's that level of actor where it's just like, man, you almost are good looking enough to be an actor, or to be a Hollywood leading man.
What's that guy's name? The Chris something or other. Again, you forget his name because he was like one of the least effective members of that cast, and then he went on to like singing some stuff, and like he was in a Dragon Ball Z movie. Gosh, I can't remember that guy's name, but he was one of those where you're just like, oh, you're still in this business? How's that possible? How did you even get in this business?
He's also terrible, right? The person that you're thinking of, he's also a terrible person, which unfortunately for him, he wasn't acting in the 70s where you could totally get away with that. The early 2000s, you could still get away with a bunch, but what he was trying to get away with, that wasn't going to happen.
In the 70s, you could murder Natalie Wood and be fine.
It's true. Hey, Walken, keep it quiet.
I don't know
Let's
nothing.
get back to shore.
I was tired that day.
Let's get back to
Had
shore.
to have a nap.
if do you think Walken takes that story to the grave with him?
You got to at this point. You're 1 foot in, 1 foot on a banana peel. You got to be like, listen, that's going with me. It's me and what's his nose. We're the only two cats that got to know. And
I think he's rolling the dice, thinking he's going to outlive Robert Wagner. Is what I think.
Robert was a bad guy. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to be absolutely the second he goes, it's going to be Robert was the worst human being ever, but he scared me. So I couldn't do anything. I was old.
I really think that that's the case. I think even though Walken looks not so great, we haven't even seen Wagner in a movie since what? Austin Powers?
Pretty much.
So we're
and let's be frank, of the two, he looks like he'd be the one that would be the more violent one. Come on.
Yeah.
Looked like Natalie Wood gave him a little bit of lip. I wouldn't put it past.
No, nor I.
Charles Band ain't never killed nobody. I know that much.
You don't know that.
Well, he didn't mention it in the book.
He's he is the son of a billionaire, so
well,
you know.
I'm not saying
rules.
the bodies were the bodies were buried, but I'm not saying he killed them. It's a different kind of story.
He did not directly pull the trigger.
Yeah, officer, you just kind of have your hands up. You don't know what to do.
Thank you for bringing us back to the movie, because I could have we could have kept going down that path of the Robert Wagner, Christopher Walken.
Or that's what this show becomes. It becomes a cold case files where Adam and Sweet Chauncey bust the Natalie Wood case from 48 years ago.
You know, my mom, every single time, she used to watch the TV show Heart to Heart. It was one of her favorite shows when I was a kid. And she loved watching the show, even though she hated Robert Wagner. So she would enjoy watching the show. And then when the show was over, she would turn to me and she would go, Sean, Robert Wagner is a murderer. After the end of every single episode. It was like she felt bad that she liked watching Heart to Heart. And then would have to say that as her penance every time.
Just to let you know, we don't approve of that. We don't like it. Not in this house. I know you might have that over at your friend's house, but not here. No.
Man, you tried to get us out, and I brought us right back into the conspiracy theories. So Tracy Scoggins.
Yes.
Who is the star of this movie. And by the way, this movie is not only for a Charles Band movie, for a movie of the era, this is a very female-forward movie.
Yeah.
You know, your lead is a female. One of the people who's still alive by the end, also a female. Like, it's surprising that this lady and yeah, she's pregnant. Yeah. Like, of course she's pregnant, and she's, like, doesn't know what to do.
They needed some sort of weird stakes or something, I guess. I guess that was kind of their thought process, is just like, make her pregnant. There's some stakes involved there. Sure, why not?
But what I'm trying to get to here is Tracy Scoggins is exactly the wrong person to be playing this role.
Yeah, but she's the right one in the fact that she's good looking.
She is.
And that's what this role is actually requiring at this point, is just somebody who's good looking to fill those shoes. And she does that well enough.
She is, and she's a 90s fastball. She looks exactly like a hot 90s lady.
Yeah.
And but her facial expressions, she's supposed to be a cop.
A hard cop.
Besides her saying that she's a cop and flashing a badge one time, is there anything about this actress that tells you, oh man, yeah, she's definitely a police officer?
Well, it was definitely her good trigger Oh wait, no, there's
nope.
Kind of pointing the gun at everyone's pointing a gun at everyone in this movie with their fingers on the triggers. It's like, what is going on, people?
She even gestures like that.
Yes,
which is insane.
I'm going to point at you with this gun. I'm pointing at you with the gun. What's wrong with you? Stop it.
It's insane.
My goodness. I mean, I know, listen, I'm sure there were fake guns. Even so.
Yeah. And she makes weird like faces when she's like, she should be stoic. When she's chasing someone, you should see that training come over her face.
Yeah,
Instead,
for being a hardened cop, she does scream an awful lot.
So much. And like, she'll like slam up against the wall to see what's happening on the other side of that wall. And when she does that, she constantly makes this face that's like, I'm having trouble breathing. It's such a strange performance by her. I don't dislike her in this. I think that she's fine in this. I just think that she's the wrong actress.
Yeah, and again, it's the whole weird. I mean, even the pregnancy thing at the beginning, just winding this. I did like how we don't really know who these two people are, what their actual relationship is, and stuff. And as much as we ding them on the show on many good occasion and for good reason, the Goyer script here is not horrible. Like
it isn't, but I'm wondering if there is if there's some like source material that he's pulling from and just naming things incorrectly, like he does with every other thing he's ever written.
That's not an awful point because he kind of tends to go like, well, as long as it's got the generalized elements of it, it's fine.
That's a black guy, right? That's Blade.
Blade, perfect. But this at least feels like, because we've got like this the putting the person in the pentagram there and everything and getting the blood and stuff like that. It seems slightly smarter than your average full moon production.
It does, and there are bits of cleverness to it. Like, I think when you don't have any money for your big budget extravaganza movie that this is attempting to be, one of the nice tricks that you can do is you have a little kid with a full-grown adult male's voice. That is a really smart, not so special effect.
And you know what the crazy part is that kid is, because this hinges on a lot right here of how well that works. And that kid and the voice and everything, the fact that they work together that well and that kid is as good an actor as he is makes it all work. Because if that kid couldn't have that right inflection and the right facial expressions to match all the things that are coming out of his mouth, it would totally fall apart. But with just the subtle enough effects for the eyes and everything, the voice and the kid being a good enough actor underneath there, you buy all of it.
It's true. And the fact that he does look like a fairly normal kid, like he doesn't look like an actor that's been through the actor machine, like he's got big baseball sized front teeth and stuff like a normal kid would have. It makes for an interesting character. And you definitely need to have that in this movie because both of your leads in this movie are not. I think that cop lady and kid that's fast food delivery kid, like there's very little that's interesting about either of those characters.
What are you talking about? He's got a head like a thumb.
He does. He has a head like a thumb.
You gotta kind of like Thumb Boy. He's just like, I don't know what his deal. What's his relationship with this security guard? This is very curious to me because like the security guard orders chicken every night. This guy delivers the chicken every night, but then like he comes and sits and drinks with the guy. Is he buddies with the guy? Is he his dealer? I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, if I may be a nerd for a second, the set dressing is informing you of their relationship.
Okay.
Because they have stacks and stacks of used fast food containers all around the place of where he sits to let you know that what we are seeing right now, until the dolls come to life and start killing everybody, we are seeing something that has happened every day for years. And it was, for a movie like this, I was kind of surprised at the forethought of that. Like, you see stacks of these fast food containers that look exactly like the one that our main kid takes to the security officer. And I was like, oh, good on you, movie. Somebody's doing their job.
I would almost put good money on this is what we all had for lunch. Everybody put your trash on this table.
Maybe.
And
but it's not just on the table. It's on the floor.
Well,
it's on like bookcase behind them. Like it's really stacked all over the place. It's just because it's white styrofoam, your eye isn't going to be drawn to it. But I thought, hey, that's a pretty good. That's a good bit of storytelling through your set dressing. And in a Charles Band movie,
you're like, what?
That's a big deal. So let me ask you something. Do you recognize the security guard?
No, he's one of those guys that like looks familiar, and I'm like, he's probably been in a million things, but not off the top of my head. No.
He is in the bar in Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's the big thing that I know him from.
Yeah. He's one of those. Was he was Hand Crush guy?
I think he is Hand Crush guy.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You know what else? Here's the thing, because I really wanted this guy to be the Stallone connection this week, but I just couldn't make it work. Like I couldn't tap dance my way there because the guy's credits are just so weird. He is also, his first role is in 1979. He is in Delta House, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you or
Delta
anyone
House.
listening. You are correct. It is the TV version. It is the ongoing series of the movie Animal House.
The thing no one asked for.
Yes, this is the TV series. The role that this security guard is playing is Mr. Blutarsky.
I mean, one would, if you had to take a stab, I figured that's where we would go.
Isn't that insane? Isn't that crazy that TV executives at the time were like, well, surely we're looking at Belushi here. It's so crazy to me.
The kids won't even realize that's how dumb they are. They'll just be like, that's the guy from the TV. That's from the guy from the movie.
And if that's not enough, right? Like, because this is really the fact that that's part one of this is that he's playing the Bluto role, is that a couple years later in 1984 a TV movie lands. That TV movie is called The Jerk 2.
What? There was a Jerk 2?
It's a TV movie, and it is The Jerk, TOO.
Oh, of course.
Of course. And he is in it. He's playing a role called Ugly Eddie. I wouldn't know. I don't know anything about this movie. I've never even heard of it before. But your main character, Navin Johnson,
right,
played by Mark Blankfield. No idea who that is.
No, that is just, I don't. Why? But why? Why? Man, who's that? I mean, I guess it's one of those. We own this IP, and we'll be doggone. We're going to do whatever we'd like to with. Thank you very much. And
I guess so. What I can tell you is, at the time, at least on the movie poster, the fake movie poster for the TV movie of The Jerk 2, Mark Blankfield looks a little bit like Chevy Chase in the poster. That's about it.
Maybe.
Oh, you know what? I do recognize this guy. This guy is in every 80s movie ever. Like Jekyll and Hyde Together Again. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie.
No.
It's basically about cocaine.
It's like a lot of movies in the 80s was fueled by and about cocaine.
Yes. They love talking about cocaine.
Mostly because they were just doing a lot of cocaine.
Yes. Yes. But that's all I got for The Jerk 2. I really, really wish I had more.
Yeah.
I think that it is such a crime against humanity that without Steve Martin's blessing or what have you, he probably gets a producer credit on it, and they characters created by.
Ooh.
So he's probably getting some sort of paycheck for that. But there's no way he said yes to it. There's no way.
That's one that you don't sign that check. You just do the rubber stamp. because you don't. Just put the rubber stamp on that one. I don't feel like signing that one for real. Just feels dirty. But he still took the money. Don't get him wrong.
He definitely took the money. Steve Martin loves money.
He's just like, well, yeah, okay, let's pocket that one. But
you don't do cheaper by the dozen too because you don't like money.
No, you do it for the artistic integrity and impression, and that's what you just want to get out there. Sometimes you just have a story to tell, Sean. Sometimes you just want to let people know what's going on in your world, and that's what Steve Martin does for us, and we thank him for it. Let's talk about the toys in this thing. How are they on a scale of 1 to demonic? How demonic are these for you? Do they work?
No, there's nothing frightening about them.
I don't know. The Clown Jack in the Box is a good design. It looks creepy. It's very Charles Band, to be sure.
Yes.
But like, I don't know. It works well enough. I like the kind of silly, like, coiling around you and kind of choking you in the weird rattle for some strange reason.
Let me ask you something. Is that supposed to be a boner?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose I didn't take it that way, but I thought it was
just like supposed to be like he's like a rattlesnake.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd probably say rattlesnake. That's my guess. Here's what I gather from the Charles Band autobiography that I listened to him read. He, despite kind of the juvenileness of a lot of his programming, he doesn't feel like he's like a skeevy kind of guy. He kind of likes some chowder buckets every now and then. It's just kind of like that. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's more like the 13-year-old innocence of just like, hey, I like seeing boobs kind of thing. And
I made the mistake of watching a YouTube video today because I wanted to get some connective tissue, some back matter about this movie because I don't know anything about it. And so I turned on what I thought was a documentary about the making of Demonic Toys that was made by Full Moon. And that's not what it was. Instead, it was a promotional tool for everything that they have just made that's coming out later that year from Full Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And the person talking to you, the person being filmed, is Charles Band. And there is something very businessman-y, but not gross businessman-y about him.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He doesn't feel like Lloyd Kaufman. He feels like a guy who's like, I like making movies, man.
He's the safer uncle to be with, so to speak.
Yes.
If your brother's got that, if you got one uncle over there and an uncle over there, you're going to this guy, not over to Uncle Lloyd.
Yes, I totally agree. And he's young. One, he's much younger than Lloyd Kaufman, but also he's the son of a billionaire. And there's there were things about the making of Demonic Toys that I didn't, or like the timeline of Demonic Toys that I didn't understand until I watched about 10 minutes of this thing, because all they're doing is just promoting all their upcoming stuff, and I mean it just all looks so bad that I was like, you know what, like I'm not interested in any of your catalog of upcoming movies, Charles Band. I'm sorry for the year 1992. And but seeing the timeline of where things were made, so like Demonic Toys is made basically after Puppet Master, but before Puppet Master 2, which I found surprising because I thought that the Puppet Master series was well underway, and then they were like, you know what, let's make Demonic Toys also. But that was not the case.
Yeah, because we're still in that kind of realm where, you're still competing with like the big boys and stuff. And though why people don't necessarily think of like, say, Child's Play as a big movie, that was a huge giant hit that Full Moon would never have.
No.
So, you had to get on kind of that wavelength. That was the thing that was kind of going on right there. And as horror has since practically its inception, it's capitalized upon current trends. And that is most certainly what this movie is doing. And it's taken so many things, and you can just tell, like I said, this is this is a movie that kind of wears its its inspirations and stuff on its sleeve pretty clearly, and you can tell that like he's seen Evil Dead at this point.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because
yes.
there are movements, there are camera movements that are absolutely 100% Evil Dead, and like some
that
of the
he hadn't
makeup
had
style.
previously.
This stuff had not really been in the kind of the full moon canon. The movie looks pretty good, all things considered. I don't know how you watched it. Over on the full moon side, it looks spectacular.
You know, I keep trying to compare him to Lloyd Kaufman, but really, what Charles Band is closer to is the Asylum movies. Because Charles Band makes movies that are bad, but they're not so bad that like you're basically playing on your phone through half of it. Like I would say that this movie specifically doesn't pass the phone test, but it does continue to keep your attention. Like you look up, you're not completely just having this movie on in the background.
It's
like when
also
we saw the Grim Avengers.
You could watch it in like 15-minute chunks.
Yes.
To just like get a little taste, then go, move the clothes from the washer to the dryer, then come back, and then and then come back in for another 15 minutes, and then take out the garbage, then come back another 15 minutes, and it would still work fine. It's like it's tough to keep your attention straight through for the entire runtime, but like you said, there's just enough going on to you're like, all right, we'll kind of keep seeing where we're going here with this, even though it may not be the biggest and best thing ever. It's like, well, okay, it's interesting enough.
There's enough craft. So like when you're looking at the demonic toys themselves, there's, like you said, you like the Jack in the Box and the fact that it's like based on a rattlesnake, the way that
and it's nice that it's like always wet and stuff. I always find that nice and creepy.
Or like Oopsie Baby or whatever her name is, the foul-mouthed doll, which at the time I'm sure seemed like the greatest, like best idea ever. And I can totally imagine somebody being 16 years old thinking this is the funniest thing ever.
And I like obviously the lines for the baby are just obviously just campy and silly and all this stuff. But like, as far as the execution of it and everything, it's not bad. And like, especially with some of the emotions and stuff that the baby ends up having on its face, way better than it has any right to be in a full moon picture.
And that's what I mean by the craft of these things, is that they look better than you think they're going to look. That's not to say that they look amazing and it's like watching, like the people who worked on the first Gremlins, but or actually the second Gremlins have better puppets. But anyway, I'll start getting in the weeds. Get out of there, Sean. Get out of there. Baby Oopsie does have, her face is interesting when it moves too. It's not like, I can't figure out how they're doing all the movements, which is interesting. And that's kind of the fun of these movies, is they're just good enough to where you're like, oh, that's clever. It's never going to scare you. You're never going to be frightened by a single thing. There's also no moments in a Charles Band movie where you're like, well, I can't unsee that.
Yeah. Nothing too overly scary. But again, I think that this is something like again, a lot of these full moon things are made for your 11 to 16-year-old boys.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's who like this movie is made for. And if you see it, especially during that particular time when that's kind of like the options and stuff that you have, it's going to be one of the raddest things that you've seen, because again, it's one of those things that you can get at the video store. You don't really have to have too much parental stuff going on and everything. And it's not awful, but it just skates the line enough to make you feel like a real BA as a kid. Yeah. But it doesn't look corny. That's the biggest thing. Now take out some of the Richard Band music, because it's corny and it's silly. But part of me always goes, if we could rescore this thing and maybe just do some kind of color treatment or something, just to try to get a little better look at it, you could raise this film's kind of, quotient by a decent portion just by fixing some of the little tiny problems and stuff in it. Like, they obviously are using sound effects and stuff, but sometimes they're just not rich enough or loud enough or full enough. And it's like, you were so close. You didn't push it that little further effort to make that really good. You were just like, that's a sound effect instead of that's a great sound effect. That's a good sound effect. That's a good sound effect. I wanted a great sound effect.
Hold on. So the thing that I want to bring up with Richard Band is that at least Richard Band's music is fitting for what you're watching, right? Like, it's not great. It's always like like a Stephanie Brown, his music.
Yeah.
But it is the right thing to where when you're watching some like I'm gonna relate this back to Grim Avengers again. Think of just how god awful that movie is. And specifically the music in that movie is. It is just the worst. And so I think that Richard Band is like, it's better than the worst of the worst. And I know that's damning him with faint praise.
Yeah.
But I think that it works for the level of movie that this is.
Yeah, it doesn't go beyond its station.
No, but that's not what he's asking for, you know?
No, and that's true. And at the same time, too, that I guess that's also part of me that gets bugged about it a little bit. Because if you look at the majority, if you look at Richard Band's kind of his filmography, the discography, whatever, all of his music and stuff, it's all fairly similar. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and that's what kind of bugs me is like every now and then you'll hear like a little something in there where you're just like, ooh, what's he about to, this seems interesting, this is new, and then it just delves quickly back into the same bull crap that you've been hearing, and the Calliope crashed to the ground and we're all sad again. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I felt like we were almost about to turn a corner and you turned into Hans Zimmer or something, but nope, we're right back all to the old Richard Band. Ah, shucks.
One special evening, London Symphony Orchestra and Richard Band play Richard Band's greatest songs throughout the years.
We had to. This is the first time the London Philharmonic has had an accordion player, but we put it in there. It's what the people actually want.
It's just everyone on Casio keyboards.
It's the bubbling soup music. There's still a lot of that stuff going on there.
Yep.
I did like the a couple of the like fun aesthetic stuff that I like. The tricycle gas mask gang, just really cool looking. I don't know what it is about it, but
is that do they have that idea as just like a fun idea while they're trying to figure out how to like achieve something in a script? Here's the thing with that, or is it something where somebody had a vision of this, where like, look, there ain't nothing creepier than three little girls riding tricycles with gas masks on, pointing at you.
Yeah.
I
feel like another, like if 2000s Doctor Who might have stole a little something. Just saying.
Not doubting.
Just saying to y'all, I'm sure y'all watched a little Richard Band back in the day. Or
probably.
Charles Band. It's all the same cry. It's all the same dude, as far as I'm concerned. I know they're different people, but not in my mind.
Oh.
But I loved the fact that they had to just their silly little it was all demon based for the most part. I almost thought we were going to see like no demons or demonic things of any type. We were just going to say all the toys were bad. I'm at least glad that we got a guy in makeup with horns and stuff, and at least there was some sort of, as silly and crazy as it is, there's a plan for trying to get this demon baby into the world and stuff. And that's where I guess you have to have the pregnancy in this story, and that's the only way that it kind of quote unquote makes sense. But
yes,
a fun and interesting idea. Again, one that I feel has to kind of be of like a Goyer kind of plant and everything from the beginning, because it just doesn't feel like something that Full Moon is usually smart enough to put together.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. I wonder. I'm always fascinated by scripts for movies like this, Because what comes first, right? Do you have the story first? Do you have the idea of demonic? It's got to be the idea of the demonic toys first, right?
The
That's what you
idea
come
was
up with
there, but
first.
the name itself was not. This was actually going to be first called Dangerous Toys, but later changed to Demonic Toys after a rock band of the same name issued a cease and desist claim on that title.
Get out of here.
No, we're Dangerous Toys. I feel like they're like that. They kind of sound like Ace Frehley.
I would like to
just
think
sounds
that they're
like
like
an
Cold
old man.
Slither.
This group, they can't. We have built too many years making our name as this, and you have to change it because we're going down in history as the Dangerous Toys for a good reason. You change your name. Don't you ain't
Go
us.
back to Long Island, Paul. I lost my train of thought.
I'll
Sorry.
do you one. David Goyer was going to be directing this movie.
He should have.
This was going to be his kind of directorial. I don't know if it was his debut, but one of his very early ones here. But that didn't get done. It just gets off to Magooin, or however we say this guy's name here and everything.
Might have been his best directorial effort, quite honestly.
It's not bad. It's like I said, it's better than it has any right to be. It feels like even though we are in these kind of crummy locations that are just littered with cardboard boxes because it takes up a good lot of space and they can be empty and not have anything in them, but yet our minds think there's something in them. Good job. We try to put that together, but at the same time, there's such weird things of like there's no warehouse in the world that looks anything like this. Why that one backdrop with kind of the translucent kind of like divider behind the shelf and everything with the blue light coming behind it? It's like, what is that? Where is that? On what plane of existence does that exist in any warehouse? It just doesn't.
I don't mean to derail this conversation, but it's something that needs to be asked because I don't remember. You know, I watched Puppet Master when I was in college and was more than likely high, so I can't remember anything about it. Are Demonic Toys better than Puppet Master?
I have only really seen the first Puppet Master, and even then, I don't think that was as crazy as you might expect it to be, as far as like all of your your stop motion puppets and stuff like that. As far as I remember, this movie is way better than that one in comparison to what we're doing and what the characters themselves are kind of doing and what they're, the mayhem with which they're getting away with.
And puppets, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but are the puppets good?
No, the puppets are all
Master?
evil, I think.
They're
Again,
all evil?
it's been a long time.
I couldn't tell you anything about it.
I mean, if you look at the guy, he looks evil as shit. So why?
Oh, right, and one is a Nazi. Yeah, totally forgot.
The Nazi stuff probably doesn't help him.
Unless they're trying to get a point across that I don't want any part of.
But it just gets, I mean, it's amazing how long these things have gone around. And like even this movie itself got at least one sequel, if not two, because there was I think there's Demonic Toys 2. I saw that in the Full Moon lineup, which, by the way, let's go ahead and take this as a moment. If you've gotten this far into the show, I know you're a real H&P fan, and as such, I need you to help me out. I need you to tweet at Charles Band and all the people at Full Moon Pictures and let them know that we're reviewing this movie, and also let them know that I've yet to receive my code for all the 10 DVDs that I'm supposed to get with my yearly purchase of that Full Moon streaming service, and that'd be lovely if they could just get in touch with me. hearmoviepodcast@gmail.com.
Where are the DVDs, Charles?
I mean, listen, I was told we could get the things, and I never got a link. Never got a link saying, hey, pick out the movies that you want.
Man talking that doesn't have this voice, the other voice, that man even went so far as to buy the audiobook of your autobiography. How dare you disappoint him?
It's true. I bought and enjoyed his book, by the way.
I know you've referenced it several times in the past.
It's good times. So I feel like, and it was honestly, it was on account of that book too. That book, it like made me kind of go, you know what? that Charles Band not a bad guy. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up and get a year's worth of streaming of all of the crappy movies that we can then watch for our program, and then we get movies like this where every now and then, shoot, you know, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and you can get a Charles Band movie that ain't, you know, utter garbage. I mean, I'm not, again, I don't want anybody sit here and say that, you know, what we're trying to sell here is, you know, a spectacular film in the making. But when you compare it up against other Full Moon Pictures, which I think has to be, you know, what you do for your comparison, right?
Yeah.
You can't go, you can't, you know, go like, well, this isn't, you know, a Marvel movie. Well, of course it isn't. This is put together with, you know, Scotch tape and hopes and dreams.
There is a different level of clever that has to happen with these movies that they do reach for the most part. Not so much with the Shrunken Heads. That movie's awful. But, you know, this movie, I think Doll Man is that way. What else have we seen from him? Oh, we saw that stupid, The Ginger Dead Man. That's awful.
Oh, what are you talking about? What a classic.
That movie's so bad.
What a classic. I don't know if we'll be able to do it because of, like, there was, speaking of Lloyd Kaufman, there was a big giant YouTube thing where, like, they like struck down his channel and like deleted videos or something like that. And some of those places were stupidly, I don't know why, but the only place where you could find some of those videos.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I think they got everything back, but it was just like, it was like, first of all, don't do something that's stupid. Hey, we put all of our stuff in this only one place. What could happen? What bag could go? I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Anything that seems like a stupid move on your part, but Charles Band seems to be kind of like he's still going on. They're not like a lot like the Troma guys. They're not necessarily producing tons of stuff themselves these days. It's more just get some acquisition from, you know, low end people that, you know, want to make it in the business. And like, let's be frank, it's some people have made it. You know, like, I mean, for example, this movie, you got your David S. Goyers. He graduated from this school. And if you look all the way back to Corman and stuff, from everybody from your, you know, your Ron Howards, Jack Nicholson, you know, you can come from greatness if you go, you know, from the bottom of the barrel here. So it's not an impossible well for you to grasp yourself out of, but not all of them do.
My next door neighbor directed a movie, and that movie was released through Troma.
So, you know, but what I think where I was going was I want Blades to come out so we can talk about Blades, because I tell everybody about that movie. I had the best experience watching that with people, and it's a scene for scene ripoff of Jaws.
That's good.
And I mean, like, there are ripoffs of Jaws like Grizzly and Orca and stuff like that. This is a ripoff of Jaws, to where you will laugh every scene because you know the scene that's about to unfurl because you've seen Jaws.
That's fun.
It's just like, oh, I know exactly what's coming. This is the great next
Blades,
scene.
a lawnmower?
Yeah, Blades, instead of a shark in the water, it's a wild lawnmower on a golf course.
That's great.
You got a Quint guy who's got a van instead of a boat.
That's great.
It's glorious. We have to put that on the list at some point. We got to try to find that out. But
please, I'd love to.
But so we'll do more of that stuff. But before we get to our final review of this movie, we have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this Full Moon feature relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Let me put my glasses on because I'm middle-aged. Hello, Mr. Stallone. I don't know if Demonic Toys is your favorite movie about damned tchotchkes, but it's probably mine because this movie has a lot to recommend it. 1, this movie knows what it is. 2, having a little kid with a man's voice is a pretty effective effect for no money. And 3, it boasts the talents of Pat Crawford Brown, who is listed on IMDb as Mrs. Brown, who is the nurse helping the doctor deliver a demon baby. She has maybe a minute of screen time, but she makes a real impact, looking both horrified and excited at the demon baby that is so very clearly a rubbery baby doll.
A large rubbery baby doll.
Way too big rubbery baby doll. If you're wondering what you might know her best from, she's in The Rocketeer, where she's playing an old lady. She was the old lady in everything for about 30 years, until she passed away in 2019 at the age of 90. But I don't bring her passing up as a downer bummer moment, but instead to celebrate the lady and her work, because she worked on so many different television shows in my youth. Shows like Highway to Heaven and Who's the Boss and Mama's Family and Designing Women. But the reason why she makes the Stallone connection this week is that she also did a guest spot on the TV show Growing Pains.
Ooh.
She played a character named Kathleen, and I don't remember her on it because I haven't watched that show in 30 years to save my memories of it. Other Growing Pains fans, or the Grow Gang, as we like to call ourselves, already know where I'm going with this. But for those who don't, Mike Seaver, played by the actor that's been driven insane by religion, Kirk Cameron, has a best friend on the show. His best friend's name was Boner, whose real name was Richard Stabone, hence the nickname Boner. His father's name was Sylvester Stabone. And every time Mike Seaver would call Boner's house, if Boner's dad answered the phone, Boner's dad would answer the phone by saying, "Yo." It was a very, very funny joke to a 10-year-old sweet Shanzi. It was maybe the hardest I have ever laughed and will ever laugh again. My question about all this is, I wonder if you were ever told about this running joke on the show. And if so, did you find it funny? I think it probably depends on your state of mind at the time, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that when you saw it, you gave the kind of laugh and smile that says, those guys got me pretty good. And that's your Stallone connection this week. It's a weird one, but it is a connection. I hope to hear from you soon, Mr. Stallone. Your pal, Sweet Shanzi from the internet.
You know, it's a little bothersome, if I can be quite honest with you, that Sylvester Stallone is getting this documentary on Netflix. You heard about this?
Oh, yeah.
Have you received any kind of phone call?
Oh, man, I'm not going to get a phone call about that.
Just saying.
Listen,
just seems weird. No one's
his
contacted
image
this
is
show.
so curated, far more curated than any of the action stars in the 80s, the other action stars, because he still works all the time, right?
Yeah.
Whereas your Arnold Schwarzenegger, your JCVD, like these guys, their public image is not nearly as curated as Stallone's. And so any outside source, any chance that somebody's going to say something that doesn't go into the Stallone image machine you are never going to get that phone call. Never. Like it might be some random topic at some point. Like, oh, by the way, you know, this moron's been doing this thing.
All we want to be is a footnote to history. That's it. Well, I'm not saying you got to make the documentary about us writing the bits over the years. I'm just saying, just make a hot second mention of the show. That's all I'm asking.
I don't think there's any way that would ever happen with Sylvester Stallone.
Your people are cowards.
Yeah, and I mean, quite honestly, why would he? You know, you've put so much money into your public image. Why would you bring in something that could be a live wire?
Well, you know what this means, right?
Wow.
We got to publish the book. I think that's the only way that it'll get his attention. If we can just publish this book and sell a lot of the books, we can, you know, maybe that'll get us. What can we do to get your attention, Daddy? What can we do?
I'm not that interested in getting his attention. I am interested in eventually coming out with a book with this, but I think I'm going to wait until this podcast has run its course before I do that.
You know,
I mean, how many? Give me a second here, because I just signed out of that, of the Stallone connection, but we are.
Probably. I mean, we're definitely in the triple digit. Been there for a while.
Well, we're 476. We're at episode 476. So I now have over 450 Stallone connections.
Yeah.
But of those 450 Stallone connections, you know, sometimes you trace back over what you've done previously. Like I'll go to IMDb user reviews for a thing. Like I'll use the same machinery to make the Stallone connection. My goal has always been to make the machinery bigger so that, like I don't have to constantly pull from the same jokey jokes in order to get to accomplish the goal, which is come up with a new Stallone connection every week.
Oh, and that was always the toughest part for me in your absence was when I would write them and stuff. It was just like, for me, what I would always do is just I'd try to at least have a little bit of your voice in there. And
Sure.
I've known you long enough to where I can get I can get enough of that. It's never 1-to-1, but enough to where you get the vibe and flavor.
I listened to him. You did great.
And it's tough even writing the few that I did and try to keep things like bouncing and interesting and not say the same crap all the time. So like, I'm just saying it's a lot more work than what it might actually seem. So always keep that in mind. But just tweet at Sylvester Stallone. Tell him we love him. That's all. We'll be that child that he's what's the child that Arnold like threw to the side and pretended doesn't exist until like 5 minutes ago.
I don't
That's
know
one of
the
them
name
kids.
of any. I don't know the name of any of his children.
I don't either, but I just know it's one of those. He's just like, that kid doesn't exist, and all of a sudden, just like, all right, fine. I guess if I'm gonna have to own up to the child that I sired out of wedlock, I might as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for stepping up to the plate. Stallone been stepping up forever and a day. That's why he's better. That is it, everybody, for this episode. Oh, No, we didn't. We didn't rate this thing, did we? Let's do that.
No.
Shucks. Here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. Sean, where does Demonic Toys fall in the Robin rating system for you?
Well, this is not a bad movie. It's also not a good movie. It's also not one of those movies that you're going to forget you saw it. That is another thing about Charles Band movies is that this is not something you're instantly going to forget. I can see how you would forget, like, did I watch Puppet Master or Demonic Toys? But you're going to know that you saw one of them. And so for me, this is a low Damian Wayne.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I'm low Damian Wayne because like I can't go middle of the road Damian, but it doesn't feel like it needs to be as low as Stephanie Brown. No. I almost could say that I was gonna think maybe a Carrie Kelly, but like I just don't think it's got the iconic status that would afford it that rating. So I gotta go. Yeah, I think I gotta go low Damian Wayne as well. It's better than it has any right to be. Yeah. Of the Full Moon stuff, I think you'll have an okay time with it. It's they got a pretty good looking transfer of it and stuff now, so it doesn't look like complete 80s garbage in 4:3 to where you're going like, I can't even tell what's going on the screen. It looks good. It looks good. It sounds decent, and it's as good as you're going to get. And hey, it's better than some of the stuff David Goyer's putting out, recently. It's better than Batman v Superman or whatever the hell.
Without a doubt.
And it's only an hour and a half. So even if you do my method where you watch 15 minutes and then you go fold some laundry, even then it's still, it's not that Zack Snyder length. So you at least got that going for you. That is it, everybody. Next week, we are going to be talking about, what did we say it was again? Oh, yes.
Adam Eve.
Adam Eve. It's Invincible presenting Adam Eve, ATOM. Adam Eve. It is on Prime, so the Invincible folks got a little prequel cartoon out here for us. So we're going to be covering that next week. In the meantime, Sean, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
We have got another podcast called Marvel 30Q, where each week we ask 30 questions of the latest episode of Secret Invasion, and we ask 30 questions of that. And if you are wondering what is going on with that show, 30 Questions is a pretty good podcast to listen to.
Now, the timeline's not going to add up, but at some point tonight, I want you to look up into the heavens and think our little Bruce Leslie is just flying in the sky home. It's not going to match up with the actual time and events and everything. He's probably already landed at this point. But that's what I want you to do in the meantime, okay? Just think about that. Enjoy
I don't know how much time I'm going to have to do that, but sure.
In your spare moment,
All right. All right.
You know, you got your morning constitutional. Just take a brief sec. That's all we ask of you. And then check out all that kind of good stuff. Links are always in the show notes as everything. I don't know what I'm doing with the show anymore. Join us next time when we're talking Invincible, presenting Adam Eve on Prime for Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet. The absent Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty Levy.